Toby and Henrietta are enjoying their new job on the island of Sodor, but they do look old-fashioned and need new paint. James was very rude whenever he saw them. Ugh, what dirty objects, he would say. At last, Toby lost patience. James, he asked, why are you red? I am a splendid engine, answered James. Ready for anything. You never see my paint dirty. Oh, said Toby innocently, that's why you once needed bootlaces, to be ready, I suppose. James went redder than ever and snorted off. It was such an insult to be reminded of the time a bootlace had been used to mend a hole in his coaches. At the end of the line, James left his coaches and got ready for his next train. It was a slow goods, stopping at every station to pick up and set down trucks. James hated slow goods trains. Dirty trucks from dirty sidings. Blech! Starting with only a few, he picked up more and more trucks at each station till he had a long train. At first, the trucks behaved well, but James bumped them so crossly that they were determined to pay him back. Presently, they approached the top of Gordon's Hill. Heavy goods trains halt here to pin down their brakes. James had had an accident with trucks before and should have remembered this. Wait, James, wait, said the driver, but James wouldn't wait. He was too busy thinking what he would say to Toby when they next met. The truck's chance had come. Hurrah, hurrah, they laughed, and banging their buffers, they pushed him down the hill. On, yelled the trucks. I've got to stop! I've got to stop! Groaned James. Through the station they thundered. Disaster lay ahead. Something sticky splashed all over James. He had run into 2 tar wagons and was black from smoke box to cab. He was more dirty than hurt, but the tar wagons and some trucks were all to pieces. Toby and Percy were sent to help and came as quickly as they could. Look here, Percy, exclaimed Toby. Whatever is that dirty object? That's James, didn't you know? It's James's shape, said Toby. But James is a splendid red engine, and you never see his paint dirty. James pretended he hadn't heard. Toby and Percy cleared away the unhurt trucks and helped James home. The fat controller met them. Well done, Percy and Toby. He turned to James. Fancy letting your trucks run away. I am surprised. You're not fit to be seen. You must be cleaned at once. Toby shall have a new coat of paint. Please, sir, can Henrietta have one too, said Toby. Certainly, Toby. Oh, thank you, sir. She will be pleased. All James could do was watch Toby as he ran off happily with the news. Thomas the tank engine was grumbling to the other engines. I spend my time pulling coaches about ready for you to take out on journeys. The other engines laughed. Why can't I pull passenger trains too? You're too impatient, they said. You'd be sure to leave something behind. Rubbish, said Thomas. I'll show you. One night, he and Henry were alone. Henry was ill. The men worked hard, but he didn't get better. He felt just as bad next morning. Henry usually pulled the first train, and Thomas had to get his coaches ready. If Henry is ill, he thought, perhaps I shall pull his train. Thomas ran to find the coaches. Come along, he fussed. There's plenty of time, they grumbled. Thomas took them to the platform and wanted to run round in front at once. But his driver wouldn't let him. Don't be impatient, Thomas. Thomas waited and waited. The people got in. The guard and station master walked up and down. The porter banged the doors, and still Henry didn't come. Thomas got more and more excited. The Fat Controller came to see what was the matter, and the guard and the station master told him about Henry. Find another engine, he ordered. There's only Thomas, they said. You'll have to do it then, Thomas. Be quick now. So Thomas ran round to the front and back down on the coaches ready to start. Don't be impatient, said his driver. Wait till everything is ready. But Thomas was too excited to listen. What happened then, no one knows. Perhaps they forgot to couple Thomas to the train. Or perhaps the driver pulled the lever by mistake. Anyhow, Thomas started. As he passed the first signal box, men waved and shouted, but he didn't stop. They're waving because I'm such a splendid engine, he thought importantly. Henry says it's hard to pull trains, but I think it's easy. Hurry, 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 he puffed, pretending to be like Gordon. People have never seen me pulling a train before. It's nice of them to wave, and he whistled. Peep, peep, thank you. Then he came to a signal at danger. Bother, he thought. I must stop, and I was going so nicely too. What a nuisance signals are. He blew an angry peep, peep on his whistle. The signalman ran up. Hello, Thomas, he said. What are you doing here? I'm pulling a train, said Thomas. Can't you see? Where are your coaches, then? Thomas looked back. Why, bless me, he said, if we haven't left them behind. Yes, said the signalman. You'd better go back quickly and fetch them. Poor Thomas was so sad he nearly cried. Cheer up, said his driver. Let's go back quickly and try again. The station, all the passengers were talking at once. They were telling the Fat Controller what a bad railway it was. But when Thomas came back, they saw how sad he was and couldn't be cross. He was coupled to the train, and this time he really pulled it. But for a long time afterwards, the other engines laughed at Thomas and said, Look, there's Thomas, who wanted to pull a train, but forgot about the coaches. Thomas the Tank Engine wouldn't stop being a nuisance. Night after night, he kept the other engines awake. I'm tired of pushing coaches. I want to see the world. The other engines didn't take much notice, for Thomas was a little engine with a long tongue. But one night, Edward came to the shed. He was a kind little engine and felt sorry for Thomas. I've got some trucks to take home tomorrow. If you take them instead of me, I'll push coaches in the yard. Thank you, said Thomas. That will be nice. Next morning, Edward and Thomas asked their drivers, and when they said yes, Thomas ran off happily to find trucks. Now, trucks are silly and noisy. They talk a lot and don't attend to what they are doing. And I'm sorry to say they play tricks on an engine who is not used to them. Edward knew all about trucks. He warned Thomas to be careful, but Thomas was too excited to listen. The shunter fastened the coupling, and when the signal dropped, Thomas was ready. The guard blew his whistle. Peep, peep, answered Thomas, and started off. But the trucks weren't ready. Oh, 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 they screamed. Wait, Thomas, wait. But Thomas wouldn't wait. Come on, he puffed. All right, don't fuss. All right, don't fuss, grumbled the trucks. Thomas began going faster and faster. Whee! He whistled as he rushed through Henry's tunnel. Hurry, hurry, called Thomas. He was feeling very proud of himself, but the trucks grew crosser and crosser. At last, Thomas slowed down as he came to Gordon's Hill. Steady now, steady, warned the driver as they reached the top. He began to put on the brakes. We're stopping, called Thomas. No, answered the trucks, bumping into each other. Go on, go on. Before the driver could stop them, they had pushed Thomas down the hill and were rattling and laughing behind him. Poor Thomas tried hard to stop them from making him go too fast. Stop pushing, he hissed, but the trucks took no notice. Go on, they giggled in their silly way. There's the station. Oh dear, what shall I do? He cried. He rattled straight through and swerved into the goods yard. Thomas shut his eyes. I must stop. When he opened his eyes, he saw he had stopped just in front of the buffers. There watching him was the fat controller. What are you doing here, Thomas? He asked. I brought Edward's trucks, Thomas answered. Why did you come so fast? I didn't mean to. I was pushed, said Thomas. You've got a lot to learn about trucks then, little Thomas. After pushing them about here for a few weeks, you'll know almost as much about them as Edward. Then you'll be a really useful engine. One night, Henry and Gordon were alone with James. Although the fat controller was beginning to think well of him, whenever a chance came, the other engines would talk of nothing but bootlaces. Remember the time one had to be used to get you out of trouble, James, they would tease. James tried to get his own back, talking about engines who got shut up in tunnels and stuck on hills. But they wouldn't listen. You talk too much, little James, said Gordon. A fine, strong engine like me has something to talk about. I'm the only engine who can pull the express. When I'm not there, they need two engines. Think of that. I've pulled expresses for years and have never once lost my way. I seem to know the right line by instinct. Every wise engine knows, of course, that the signalman works the points to make engines run on the right lines, but Gordon was so proud he had forgotten. Wake up, James, said Gordon next morning. It's nearly time for the express. What are you doing? Odd jobs? Oh, well, we all have to begin somewhere, don't we? Run along now and get my coaches. Don't be late. James went to get Gordon's coaches. They were all shining with lovely new paint. He was careful not to bump them, and they followed him smoothly into the station, singing happily, "We're going away, we're going away." I wish I was going with you, said James. I should love to pull the express and go flying along the line. Gordon, with much noise and blowing of steam, got ready to back onto the train. The Fat Controller was on the train with other important people, and as soon as they heard the guard's whistle, Gordon started. Look at me now, he puffed, and the coaches glided after him. Poop, 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 poop. Goodbye, little James, see you tomorrow. James watched the train disappear and then went back to work. He pushed some trucks into their proper sidings and went to fetch the coaches for another train. James had just brought the coaches to the platform when he heard a mournful noise. There was Gordon trying to sidle into the station without being noticed. Hello, Gordon. Is it tomorrow? Asked James. Gordon didn't answer. He just let off steam feebly. Did you lose your way, Gordon? Said James. No, it was lost for me. I was switched off the main line onto the loop. I had to go all round and back again. Perhaps it was instinct, said James. Meanwhile, all the passengers hurried to the booking office. We want our money back, they shouted. But the Fat Controller climbed on a trolley and blew the guard's whistle, so loudly that they all stopped to look at him. Then he promised them a new train at once. Gordon can't do it, he said. Will you pull it for us, James? Yes, sir, I'll try. So James was coupled on and everyone got in. Do your best, James, said the Fat Controller. Come along, puffed James. You're pulling as well, sang the coaches. Bridges and stations flashed by, the passengers cheered, and they soon reached the station. Everyone said thank you to James, and the Fat Controller was very impressed. Well done, he said. Would you like to pull the express sometimes? Yes, please, answered James. Next day, when James came by, Gordon was pushing trucks. I like some quiet work for a change, he said. I'm teaching these trucks manners. You did well with those coaches, I hear. Good, we'll show them. And he gave his trucks a bump. James and Gordon are now good friends. James sometimes takes the express to give Gordon a rest. Gordon never talks about bootlaces, and they are both quite agreed on the subject of trucks. One winter evening, Henry's driver said, "We'll be out early tomorrow. We've got to take the flying kipper." Don't tell Gordon, but I think if we pull the kipper nicely, the Fat Controller will let us pull the express. The special coal they gave you is working well. Hurrah! Cried Henry. That will be lovely. All kinds of ships use the harbor at the big station by the sea. There are passenger ships, cargo ships, and fishing boats also come here. They unload their fish on the quay. Some of it goes to shops in the town, and the rest in a special train to other places far away. This is the train the railwaymen call the Flying Kipper. Henry was ready at 5 o'clock. There was snow and frost. Men hustled and shouted, loading the vans with crates of fish. The last door banged, the guard showed his green lamp. The Flying Kipper was ready to go. Come on, don't be silly, puffed Henry to the vans. The vans shuddered and groaned. Trock, trick, all right. That is better, puffed Henry. Clouds of smoke and steam poured from his funnel into the cold air, and the fire's light shone brightly. Hurry, panted Henry. They were going well. The light grew better. Signal light shone green as they passed. Then a yellow signal appeared ahead. His driver prepared to stop, but the home signal was down. All clear, Henry. Away we go. They couldn't know the points from the main line to a siding were frozen, and the home signal should have been set at danger, but snow had forced it down. A goods train was waiting in the siding to let the flying kipper pass, and the driver and fireman were drinking cocoa in the brake van. "The kipper is due," said the guard. "Who cares?" said the fireman. "This is good cocoa." The driver got up. "Come on, fireman, back to our engine." They got out just in time. Henry's driver and fireman had jumped clear before the crash, but Henry lay dazed and surprised. The Fat Controller came to see him. "The signal was down, sir," said Henry. "Cheer up, Henry, it wasn't your fault. Ice and snow caused the accident. I'm sending you to Crewe, a fine place for sick engines. They'll give you a new shape and a larger firebox. You'll feel a different engine and won't need special coal anymore. Won't that be nice?" "Yes, sir," said Henry doubtfully. Henry liked being at Crewe, but was glad to come home. A crowd of people waited to see him arrive in his new shape. He looked so splendid and strong that they gave him 3 cheers. "Peep, peep," he whistled. "Thank you very much." I am sorry to say that a lot of little children are often late for school because they wait to see Henry go by. They often see him pulling the express. He does it so well that Gordon is jealous. But that's another story. Gordon was cross. "Why should Henry have a new shape?" he grumbled. "A shape good enough for me is good enough for him. He goes gallivanting off to Crewe, leaving us to do his work, and comes back saying how happy he feels. It's disgraceful." And there's another thing. Henry whistles too much. No respectable engine ever whistles loudly at stations. It isn't wrong, but we just don't do it. Poor Henry didn't feel happy anymore. "Never mind," whispered Percy. "I'm glad you're home again. I like your whistling." "Goodbye, Henry," called Gordon. "We're glad to have you with us again, but remember what I said." Later, Henry stopped at Edward's station. "Hello, Henry," said Edward. "You look splendid. I was pleased to hear your happy whistle yesterday." "Thank you, Edward," smiled Henry. "Shh, shh. Can you hear something?" "It sounds like Gordon," said Edward, "and it ought to be Gordon. But Gordon never whistles like that." It was Gordon. He came rushing down the hill at a tremendous rate. He didn't look at Henry, and he didn't look at Edward. He screamed straight through the station and disappeared. "Well," said Edward. "It isn't wrong," chuckled Henry, "but we just don't do it." And he told Edward what Gordon had said. Meanwhile, Gordon screeched along the line. The noise was awful. At the station, everyone held their ears. The Fat Controller held his ears too. "Take him away," he bellowed, "and stop that noise." Gordon puffed sadly away. But he wouldn't stop whistling until 2 fitters climbed up and knocked his whistle valve in place. That night, Gordon slunk into the shed. He was glad it was empty. It isn't wrong, murmured Henry to no one in particular, but we just don't do it. No one mentioned whistles. Next morning, Henry was enjoying himself enormously. I feel so well, he sang. Trickety-trock, hummed his coaches. Then he saw some boys on a bridge. Peep, peep, hello, he whistled. Oh, he called. The boys didn't wave and take his number. They thought it fun to drop stones on him instead. They've broken our glass! They've broken our glass! Sobbed the coaches. The passengers weren't hurt, but they were cross. Call the police! No, said the driver. Leave it to Henry and me. What will you do? They asked. Can you keep a secret? Yes, yes. Well then, said the driver. Henry is going to sneeze at those boys. Lots of people were waiting at the station just before the bridge. They wanted to see what would happen. Henry has plenty of ashes, said the driver. Please keep all windows shut till we have passed the bridge. Henry is as excited as we are, aren't you, old fellow? Henry was feeling stuffed up. Soon they could see the boys, and they all had stones. Are you ready, Henry, said his driver. Sneeze hard when I tell you. Now, he said. Achoo-shoo! Well done, Henry, laughed his driver. Henry went home very pleased with himself. He had taught Gordon and silly boys a lesson with a whistle and a sneeze.
One morning, Thomas was being cleaned when Gordon arrived. Mud had blown all over his smart blue paint. "Hello, Gordon," called Thomas. "You look as if you've had a mud bath. Be a sensible engine. Have a shower instead." Gordon snorted. "I haven't time to dawdle over my appearance like fussy little tank engines do." The wind blew stronger. "Phew, Gordon, slow down," called his driver. This made Gordon even crosser. "I'll be dirty and late, he hissed. At the next station was a sign. All trains must wash down daily. James had just finished being cleaned. "Come on, Gordon," said his driver. "You'll feel better after a good hose down." "Pah!" said Gordon, and angrily let off steam. "You're a very naughty engine," said Gordon's driver. "Now James will need another shower. You'll have to wait your turn till later." "Good riddance," huffed Gordon. "I'm far too busy to waste time with water." He finished his journey safely and steamed into the big station. The Fat Controller was waiting. So were Gordon's coaches and the passengers. "Goodness gracious," said the Fat Controller. "You can't pull the train. Henry will have to do it. Gordon, you'd better get clean straight away." Gordon was soon being washed. "Mind my eyes," he grumbled. Then he pulled trucks for the rest of the day. He bumped them hard. "That's for you, and you, and you." "Trucks will be trucks," said James. "They won't with me," snorted Gordon. "I'll teach them." James got ready to take the express when Gordon returned. "Be careful," warned Gordon. "The hills are slippery and you may need help." "I don't need help on hills," replied James huffily. "Gordon thinks he knows everything." Earlier, a storm had swept Gordon's hill, blowing leaves onto the track. Even though the storm had passed, the hill was still difficult to climb. James knew this. The signal showed clear and James began to go faster. "I'll do it. I'll do it, he puffed. Halfway up, he was not so sure. I must do it, I must do it. But his wheels slipped on the leaves. He couldn't pull the train at all. Help, help, whistled James. His wheels were turning forward, but the heavy coaches pulled him backwards. The whole train started slipping down the hill. His driver shut off steam and put on the brakes. Then carefully, he stopped the train. Gordon saw everything. Ah, well, we live and learn. Never mind, little James, I'm going to push behind. Clouds of smoke and steam towered from the snorting engines. We can do it, puffed James. We will do it, puffed Gordon. At last, they reached the top. Beep, beep, thank you, goodbye, whistled James. Poop, poop, answered Gordon. Goodbye. That night, the Fat Controller came to see the engines. Please, sir, said Thomas, can Gordon pull coaches again now? If you understand that having a good washdown is essential to every engine, then yes, Gordon, you may. Thank you, grunted Gordon. The other engines settled happily to sleep. Dirty or clean, I'm a famous machine, murmured Gordon, but no one heard but him. Thomas the Tank Engine puffed happily along his branch line with Annie and Clarabelle. The Fat Controller was waiting on the platform. He looked at his watch. Well done, Thomas. You are right on time and really reliable. Thank you, sir, whistled Thomas. Ooh, right on time and really reliable, hummed the coaches. But the big engines were not feeling cheerful at all. Where's Percy? Mumbled Henry. He's supposed to fetch our coaches. We get no rest, complained James. He edged angrily onto the turntable and spoke rudely to Henry. What's the matter, Henry? There's no rain today. Stop worrying and do some work instead. I'm not afraid of getting wet anymore, huffed Henry. Anyway, you look silly enough to be a clown. You should be in a circus. Oh, whistled Percy, so you've heard the news. What news? Grunted Gordon. About the circus. Percy, what are you talking about? The circus has arrived, explained Percy. I've been shunting special trucks. The Fat Controller needs your help too. The engines soon forgot to be tired and cross. Until it was time for the circus to leave. Then Gordon and Henry were cross all over again when James got to pull the train away. A little later, the Fat Controller returned. Come along, Henry. A tunnel is blocked down the line. You must take some workmen to investigate. Pushing trucks, grumbled Henry. They stopped outside the tunnel. The workmen went inside. It was very dark and quiet, but not for long. Help! Shouted the workmen, and they ran out. We started to dig at the block, but it grunted and moved, one said. Rubbish, said the foreman. It's not rubbish, it's big and alive. We're not going in there again. Right, said the foreman. I'll ride in the truck and Henry shall push it out. Wheesh, said Henry unhappily. He had been shut in the tunnel for being afraid of the rain, but this was worse. Something big and alive was inside. Beep, beep. I don't want to go in. Neither do I, said his driver. But we must clear the line. Oh dear, puffed Henry. Then there was trouble. The block was indeed alive and very strong. It began to push the train backwards. Out of the tunnel came Henry. Then the trucks, and last of all, a large cross elephant. "Well, I never did," cried the foreman. The workmen gave him some cake. He drank 3 buckets of water and was just about to drink another when Henry let off steam. "Oh!" cried the elephant. Water went all over Henry. Poor Henry. The elephant and his keeper were soon reunited, but Henry was most upset. "An elephant pushed me! An elephant pushed me!" That night, he told the other engines all about it. Gordon and James felt sorry for Henry, but still teased him. "First the rain, then an elephant. Whatever will you be afraid of next?" "Never mind, Henry," murmured Thomas. "I think you were brave today and really reliable too."
Gordon was feeling grumpy. This was making James cross. "Why are you complaining all the time?" "Because I'm a big blue engine and I know everything. I shall complain whenever I want. You're just a small red engine with ideas above your station." "I can't see any," said Percy. "Where are they?" "Any what?" "Ideas above the station. The sky is empty." "Like your smoke box, Percy," laughed James. But Gordon was still grumpy. "One day I'll show you just what a big engine can really do." "So what can a big engine really do?" "Not speak to silly little green engines for a start," replied Gordon, and he puffed away. Later that day, the Fat Controller came to see him. "Gordon, you'll be making one stop today with an empty express to test our new station. You can make up time afterwards." "Why can't Henry do it? He likes idling in stations." "You will do as you are told," came the blunt reply. So Gordon did. But he was still unhappy, and he grew sick too. "I just can't get up to speed," he moaned. "It's time for your visit to the works. Your pipes are clogged," said the fireman. At last they approached the new station. Gordon was impressed, but his mood soon changed. In front of him was a blank wall and huge buffers. "What a boring view," he grunted. "Important engines like me should have a panoramic view, where I can see people and people can see me." And he wheezed angrily. Gordon was happy when it was time to leave. "Now you really can enjoy your run, as long as your pipes will let you," said his driver. Come on, I can go faster than this," huffed Gordon. "Sick? Me? Never." But Gordon began to feel more and more feeble, and soon he came to a complete stop. "What happened?" he exclaimed. His driver and fireman inspected him. "Something's broken inside you, Gordon," said his fireman. "Now you really will have to go to the works." Gordon was still fuming when James arrived to collect his coaches. Well, so much for knowing about everything. You got too puffed up in your boiler, so it serves you right." When Gordon returned from the works a few days later, he was still boasting. "I am the finest engine on the island of Sodor, probably the finest in the world." "Come on, Gordon, we're going to the official opening of the new station." Then there was trouble. As Gordon approached the new station, neither the driver or fireman could apply his brakes. Something had jammed. The driver reduced steam, but Gordon was still going too fast. "Help me, please!" "Well, Gordon," said the Fat Controller. I knew you wanted a panoramic view, but this is not the way to achieve it. Yes, sir. Sorry, sir, muttered Gordon. When Gordon was repaired again, he took the Fat Controller to the new station for its second official opening. This time he arrived safely, and everyone clapped and cheered as he pulled in. The Fat Controller spoke to him. Your panoramic view is here to stay. I trust you will always see through it from the safety of your own rails. Gordon heartily agreed.
Toby is a tram engine. He has cow catchers and side plates and doesn't look like a steam engine at all. He takes trucks from farms and villages to the main line and is cheerful to everyone he meets. He has a coach called Henrietta, who has seen better days. It's not fair at all, she grumbles, remembering that she used to be full and 9 trucks would rattle behind her. Now there are only 3 or 4, and the farms and factories send their goods mostly by lorry. Toby is always careful. The cars, buses and lorries often have accidents. Toby hasn't had an accident for years. The buses are crowded and Henrietta is empty. A lady and a stout gentleman stood on Toby's platform. He was, of course, the Fat Controller, but Toby didn't know this yet. Come on, Grandfather, cried the children. Do look at this engine. That's a tram engine, Stephen, said the Fat Controller. Is it electric? Asked Bridget. Whoosh! Hissed Toby. Shh, shh, said her brother. You've offended him. But trams are electric, aren't they? They are mostly, but this is a steam tram. May we go in it, Grandfather? Please? Stop, said the Fat Controller to the guard. They all scrambled into Henrietta. Hip, hip, hooray, chanted Henrietta. But Toby did not sing. Electric indeed, electric indeed, he snorted. He was very hurt. What is your name? Asked the Fat Controller. Toby, sir. Thank you, Toby, for a very nice ride. Thank you, sir, said Toby. He felt better now. This gentleman, he thought, is a gentleman who knows how to speak to engines. The children came every day for a fortnight. Sometimes they rode with the guard, sometimes in empty trucks. On the last day of all, the driver invited them into his cab. All were sorry when they had to go away. And the Fat Controller and his family thanked everyone. Come again soon, replied Toby. We will, called the children. And they waved till Toby was out of sight. The months passed. Toby had few trucks and fewer passengers. Our last day, Toby, said his driver one morning. The manager says we must close tomorrow. That day, everyone wanted the chance of a last ride. The passengers joked and sang, but Toby and his driver wished they wouldn't. Goodbye, Toby, said the passengers afterwards. We are sorry your line is closing down. So am I, said Toby. Nobody wants me, Toby thought, and went unhappily to sleep. Next morning, the shed was flung open, and he woke with a start to see his driver waving a piece of paper. "Wake up, Toby," they shouted, "and listen to this. It's a letter from the stout gentleman." Toby listened but I mustn't tell you any more, or I shall spoil the next story. There's a line to a quarry at the end of Thomas's branch. It goes for some distance along the road. Thomas was always very careful to whistle here in case anyone was coming. Early one morning, a large policeman was sitting close to the line. Thomas liked policemen. He had been a great friend of the constable who had just retired. "Peep, peep," he whistled. "Good morning." Thomas expected that the new constable would be friendly too, but was sorry to see that he didn't look friendly at all. He was red in the face and very cross. "Disgraceful," he spluttered. "I didn't sleep a wink last night. It was so quiet, and now engines come whistling suddenly behind me." "I'm sorry, sir," said Thomas. "I only said good morning." A policeman pointed to Thomas. "Where's your cowcatcher?" he asked. "But I don't catch cows, sir." "Don't be funny," snapped the policeman. He looked at Thomas's wheels. No side plates either, and he wrote in his notebook, "Engines going on public roads must have their wheels covered and a cowcatcher in front to protect people and animals from being dragged under the wheels if they stray onto the line. You haven't, so you are dangerous." "Rubbish," said Thomas's driver. "We've been along here hundreds of times and never had an accident." "That makes it worse," the policeman answered. He wrote "regular lawbreaker" in his book. Thomas puffed sadly away. The fat controller was having breakfast. He was eating toast and marmalade. The butler came in. "Excuse me, sir, you are wanted on the telephone." "Bother that telephone," said the fat controller. "I'm sorry, my dear," he said to his wife. "Thomas is in trouble with the police, and I must go at once." At the station, Thomas's driver told the fat controller what had happened. Dangerous to the public, indeed. We'll see about that. The fat controller spoke to the policeman. But however much he argued with him, it was no good. "The law is the law," he said, "and we can't change it." The fat controller felt exhausted. "I'm sorry, driver," he said. "It's no use arguing with policemen. We will have to make those cowcatcher things for Thomas, I suppose." "Everyone will laugh, sir," said Thomas. "They'll say I look like a tram." The fat controller stirred. Then he laughed. "Well done, Thomas. Why didn't I think of it before? We want a tram engine. When I was on my holiday, I met a nice little engine called Toby. He takes trucks from the farms, but the lorries are taking over most of his work and he needs a change. He has cowcatchers and side plates. I'll write to his controller at once." A few days later, Toby arrived. "That's a good engine," said the fat controller. "I see you've brought your coach, Henrietta." "You don't mind, do you, sir?" asked Toby. "The station master wanted to use her as a hen house, and that would never do." "No, indeed," said the fat controller. "We couldn't allow that." Toby made the silly trucks behave even better than Thomas did.
Oi, you!
At first, Thomas was jealous, but he was so pleased when Toby rang his bell and frightened the policeman. They've been firm friends ever since. When Thomas puffed along his branch line, he always looked forward to something special. the sight of the river. As he rumbled over the bridge, he would see people fishing. Thomas often wanted to stay and watch, but his driver said no. What would the Fat Controller say if we were late? Every time he met another engine, he would say, "I want to fish." But they all had the same answer. Engines don't go fishing. Silly stick in the muds, thought Thomas. One day he stopped as usual to take in water at the station by the river. "Out of order?" "Bother," said Thomas. "I'm thirsty." "Never mind," said his driver. "We'll get some water from the river." They found a bucket and some rope and went to the bridge. Then the driver let the bucket down to the water. The bucket was old and had 5 holes. So they had to fill it, pull it up and empty it into Thomas's tank as quickly as they could, several times over. They finished at last. That's good, puffed Thomas, and Annie and Clarabelle ran happily behind. Suddenly, Thomas began to feel a pain in his boiler. Steam began to hiss from his safety valve in an alarming way. "There's too much steam," said his driver. "Oh dear," groaned Thomas. "I'm going to burst. I'm going to burst." They damped down his fire and struggled on. "I've got such a pain. I've got such a pain," Thomas hissed. They stopped just outside the last station, uncoupled Annie and Clarabelle, and ran Thomas, who was still hissing fit to burst, on a siding right out of the way. Then while the guard telephoned for an engine inspector, the driver found notices in large letters, which he hung on Thomas in front and behind. "Danger! Keep away!" Soon the inspector and the Fat Controller arrived. "Cheer up, Thomas," they said. "We'll soon put you right." The driver told them what had happened. "So the feed pipe is blocked," said the inspector. "I'll just look in the tanks." He climbed up and peered in. Then he came down. "Excuse me, sir. Please look in the tank and tell me what you see." "Certainly, Inspector," replied the Fat Controller. He clambered up, looked in, and nearly fell off in surprise. "Inspector," he whispered, "can you see fish?" "Gracious goodness me, how did the fish get there, driver?" "We must have fished them from the river with our bucket," replied Thomas's driver. "Well, Thomas, so you and your driver have been fishing, but fish don't suit you. We must get them out." They all took turns at fishing in Thomas's tank, while the Fat Controller looked on and told them how to do it. When they had caught all the fish, they had a lovely picnic supper of fish and chips. "That was good," said the Fat Controller. "But fish don't suit you, Thomas, so you mustn't do it again." "No, sir, I won't," said Thomas sadly. "Engines don't go fishing. It's too uncomfortable."
It was the end of a busy day. The engines had been working hard. They were pleased and proud. Except Henry. He was feeling ill. "What's the matter with you, Henry?" Thomas asked. "My boiler's grumbling." "Maybe it's grumbling at you." "That's not funny," hissed Henry. "You just don't care." But Emily saw that Henry was leaving a puddle of water behind. She was worried. The next morning, the Fat Controller arrived.
Thomas, Henry, Percy, I want you to collect some trucks and take them to the docks.
Yes, sir, cried Thomas and Percy. Henry watched the engines puff away. He didn't feel well. Useful engines don't complain. He was leaving water everywhere as he chuffed towards the coaling plant. When Emily saw this, she was more worried than ever. Then Thomas and Percy overtook Henry. "Hurry up, Henry!" Percy tooted. "I can't go any faster," Henry chuffed miserably. "You're just being lazy," teased Thomas. By the time Thomas and Percy reached the coaling plant, they had a naughty plan. "Please, sir, Henry wants to take more trucks." "He is bigger," added Percy. The yard manager agreed. Meanwhile, Emily was talking to the Fat Controller. "Oh, I'm worried about Henry."
Perhaps his tubes are leaking,
replied the Fat Controller.
You'd better check.
By the time Henry reached the coaling plant, Thomas and Percy had already left. "Why did Thomas and Percy leave me so many trucks?" moaned Henry. "They know I'm not feeling well." "We'll still have to take them," said his driver. Henry chuffed and puffed and pulled his long line of trucks. "You can do it, Henry," encouraged his driver. But it was no use. Henry ground to a halt. Just then, Emily arrived. "Are you all right, Henry?" "No," moaned Henry. "I'm stuck." Henry's fireman uncoupled the heavy coal trucks. Emily changed tracks and then hooked up to Henry. "Oh, thank you, Emily," wished Henry. Emily and Henry puffed into the docks.
Well done, Emily, said the Fat Controller. Then he spoke to Henry. You were brave, Henry. You weren't well, but you still tried to pull the heavy trucks.
Thomas and Percy felt ashamed. "We're sorry, Henry," said Thomas. "We didn't think you were really sick," added Percy.
Go back and collect Henry's trucks straight away, said the Fat Controller sternly.
Yes, sir, whispered Thomas. Soon Henry was mended and back at work. "You're looking so much better," said Emily.
Well, they've mended me tubes, but they didn't even look at me brakes, me gauges, me squeaky wheels.
All in good time, Henry. Poor Henry. The engines on the island of Sodor love the summer. The Fat Controller arranges lots of concerts. Music can often be heard drifting through the air. The engines do enjoy it. One morning, the engines were very excited. Alicia Botti, the famous singer, was coming to the island of Sodor.
She's a coloratura, said Gordon importantly.
What's a coloratura? Asked Thomas.
It means she can sing high notes very, very loud.
The Fat Controller will choose me to collect her, boasted James. I'm the brightest and the shiniest.
Nonsense. I'm the most important,
huffed Gordon. Thomas wanted to feel important too. He might choose me, he said hopefully.
Well, one thing's for sure, said Gordon. He won't choose Dirty Percy.
Don't call me Dirty Percy, he chuffed crossly, and he wheeshed away. But the next day, the Fat Controller didn't choose Gordon, and he didn't choose James. He chose Thomas.
Make sure Annie and Clarabelle are squeaky clean,
He said. Yes, sir, said Thomas proudly. He felt very important indeed. Move aside, Dirty Percy, chuffed Thomas. I'm the important engine today. But I need a washdown, wailed Percy. My passengers will laugh at me. But I have to be squeaky clean, huffed Thomas, so you'll just have to wait. I can't wait, grumped Percy. I'm a guaranteed connection. And he chuffed away. Soon, Thomas was shiny and squeaky clean. He felt more important than ever. But as the workers coupled Annie and Clarabelle, they heard a strange noise. What's that? Asked Thomas anxiously. His driver quickly oiled Annie and Clarabelle's undercarriage. That should take care of the bothersome squeak, he said. On the way to the docks, Thomas heard the squeak again. He was worried. It didn't sound like his squeaky clean squeak. Thomas squeaked noisily into the quayside where Alicia Botti was waiting. The Fat Controller held Clarabelle's door open when Alicia Botti screamed. And she screamed, and she screamed, and she screamed. She screamed so loud and so long that windows broke all over town. Definitely a coloratura, said Gordon. Alicia Botti was cross. I can't possibly travel in a coach that riddled with a mice. The Fat Controller was very embarrassed, and Thomas didn't feel important at all. Just then, Percy returned from his guaranteed connection. Look at the little green engine, Alicia Botti exclaimed. So sweet and dirty, like a proper steam engine. Peasant, Gordon huffed snootily. Yes, I am pleasant, smiled Percy. He was glad somebody noticed. Alicia Botti boarded the train and Percy steamed away. He felt very proud. Later, Thomas saw Percy at the washdown. I'm sorry I called you dirty, Percy, said Thomas. You go first. Thanks, Thomas. It feels good to be friends, said Percy. But where is your mouse? You'll see, grinned Thomas. That night was Alicia Botti's concert. Her voice carried across half of the island. The Fat Controller had made the little mouse her very own home in the corner of Tidmouth's sheds, and Thomas named her Alicia. Thomas the Tank Engine had been working in the coal yards all day. The little blue engine was covered in coal dust. We can't clean you up tonight, Thomas, said his driver. There's a problem with the hose pipe. Bother, said Thomas. A bath would make me feel much better. The others are sure to say I look silly. But the engines were too busy arguing to notice Thomas. James was talking loudest of all. I deserve a new coat of paint. The Fat Controller says I'm the pride of the line and... Rubbish, huffed Henry. We're all the pride of the line. It's been like this all day, confided Percy to Thomas. James is getting a new coat of paint and won't stop boasting about it. Why, James? I'm the one who needs a new coat. Look at me. I'd rather not, retorted James. You're not a pleasant sight and wouldn't understand the needs of a really important engine. Thomas was fuming. Next morning, as James was being repainted, Henry had an accident. If you can't push trucks properly, Henry, why not talk to a tree instead? You know how much you like the forest. As a matter of fact, Bossy Boiler, the Fat Controller is inspecting the island for trees that are too close to the line. He's worried they might cause trouble. Pah! Laughed James. If I came upon a tree, I'd just push it aside. Really? Replied Henry. Soon James was showing off his paintwork. Make way for an important engine! You wouldn't feel important if one of these trees crashed on you. You'd feel hurt, reproached Percy. Rubbish! It wouldn't dare! You should be careful, James. Trees can be just as powerful as engines, advised Terence. Pah! Snorted James. Now excuse me, the Fat Controller needs me to pull the express. And he huffed away. But James was wrong. You must go to the yards and collect an important goods train, James. It's heavy, so be careful, said the Fat Controller. But, sir, I've just been repainted. Can't Thomas or Percy do it? They're dirty and like working with trucks. Really useful engines don't argue. So James didn't. By the time he arrived at the yards, the weather had changed for the worse. Your colour's nice, James. Pity about your face, though, said a truck. James ignored them and set off. Soon they came to a hill and his driver knew that they were in for a difficult time. An old tree close to the track was being blown by the strong winds and rain had weakened the slope. All of a sudden the tree moved. "Ooh, help!" cried James. "Go away!" But of course the tree couldn't. James tried to reverse away from the tree, but his train was too heavy. Then he heard a whistle. "It's Thomas," called his driver. James felt embarrassed and worried that Thomas would laugh at him, but Thomas didn't. He knew that this was no time for teasing. "Beep, beep, I'm ready," whistled Thomas. "So am I," James replied. "As ready as I'll ever be." They were just in time. Later, James spoke to Thomas. "Percy and Terence were right to warn me," he said. "Thank you for rescuing me, Thomas." "Oh, that's all right. We engines must pull together, whatever the weather." Just then, Edward bustled in. "The Fat Controller thinks you're both brave engines. Thomas, you're going to have a new coat of paint, and James, the Fat Controller says that tomorrow you'll pull the Special Express." Everyone was very happy. Early one morning, Gordon's fire would not light. I don't know what's wrong, sighed the firelighter. There must be gremlins about. "What are gremlins?" asked Percy. "I've heard they're little green men who play tricks," replied Thomas. "Can we find one?" asked Percy. "Pah," said James. "Gremlins don't exist. They're just an excuse when things go wrong and no one knows why." "If Firelighter says there are gremlins, there are," insisted Thomas. "Huh!" snorted James. The Fat Controller had heard everything. "Silence," he said. "I am expecting a VIP, a very important person today. She has heard that all my engines are really useful. Please prove it." "Yes, sir," they all said. "As long as the gremlins let us," added Percy. "What gremlins?" "The ones in Gordon's fire, sir. That's why he's not ready yet." "We'll see about that," thundered the Fat Controller. And he did. "Gordon, I expect you to be on your best behaviour today. You are to pull the very special coach for my special visitor. But no high speeds, please. She won't like that." Gordon was proud and pleased. He was waiting for his special coach when Percy puffed in with some coal trucks. "What's the matter, Gordon? You're late." "Driver says there's gremlins on the turntable," replied Gordon. "They must be everywhere," squeaked Percy. At last the turntable was mended and Gordon puffed away with the special coach. He was soon working hard to make up for lost time. After he arrived at the station, the Fat Controller became concerned. "Where's Thomas?" he wondered. "He's supposed to be bringing my visitor from the docks." "Huh!" huffed Gordon. "Thomas isn't really useful if he's late." But it wasn't long before Thomas arrived. I'm sorry, a cow strayed on the line and we had to wait for the farmer to take her away. But driver says your visitor is here safe and sound. Indeed she is, smiled the Fat Controller. How nice to see you. Who is it? Whispered Percy. I don't know, replied Thomas, but the Fat Controller is certainly keen to please her. He's arranged a special party for her. She's got a dog, said Percy. Woof woof. Come on, Thomas, said Driver. You need a drink. Pah, puffed Gordon. Thomas is just a lazy little engine. The Fat Controller is expecting me to arrive on time. We're late because of Thomas. Gordon's driver decided to make up for lost time. Then there was trouble. I think we'd better slow down. This is an old line and could make things uncomfortable for the VIP. And it did. She was taking a bath and the water was slopping about all over the place. "Ooh, ooh, ooh," she cried. Gordon was very relieved to reach his final destination, where Thomas was waiting to collect the Fat Controller and his special visitor. He blew an extra long whistle. This frightened the visitor's dog so much that he fled from the station and ran into a field where a bull was grazing. The bull frightened the little dog even more. He ran back again, onto the platform and over the bridge. He didn't stop until he jumped straight into Thomas's cab. Woof woof. But he had a wonderful ride, all the way to the docks. What's the dog's name? Asked the fireman. Well, after today's events, I think I'll rename him Gremlin. The Fat Controller chuckled. In that case, I've met one at last. Ho, ho, ho. Excuse me, sir, but who is your very important visitor? Why, didn't I tell you? This lady is my mother, and she agrees with me. You are indeed really useful engines. And my mother, of course, is always right. Woof woof.
Thomas the Tank Engine is very proud of his branch line. He thinks it's the most important part of the whole railway. His two coaches, Annie and Clarabelle, agree with him. Annie can only take passengers, but Clarabelle can take passengers, luggage, and the guard. They are both old and need new paint, but Thomas loves them very much. As they run backwards and forwards along the line, they sing songs to each other. When Thomas starts from a station, he sings, "Oh, come along, we're rather late. Oh, come along, we're rather late." And the coaches sing, "We're coming along, we're coming along." They don't mind what Thomas says to them, because they know he is trying to please the Fat Controller. And they know, too, that if Thomas is cross, he's not cross with them. One day they had to wait for Henry's train, which made Thomas very cross. How can I run my line properly if Henry is always late? He doesn't realize that the Fat Controller depends on me. Thomas whistled impatiently. He wanted to leave, but he had to wait for Henry's passengers. At last, Henry came. "Where have you been, lazybones?" asked Thomas. "Oh dear, my system is out of order. No one understands my case. You don't know what I suffer," moaned Henry. "Rubbish," said Thomas. "You're too fat. You need exercise." The guard blew his whistle, and Thomas started so quickly that he left him behind. The guard waved his red flag to stop Thomas, but he was well on his way, steaming out of the station. Come along, puffed Thomas. But Clarabel didn't want to come. I've lost my nice guard. I've lost my nice guard, she sobbed. Annie tried to tell Thomas what had happened. We haven't a guard. We haven't a guard. But he was hurrying and wouldn't listen. Annie and Clarabel tried to put on their brakes, but they couldn't without the guard. Where is our guard? Where is our guard? They cried. But Thomas didn't stop till they came to a signal. Bother that signal, said Thomas. What's the matter? I don't know, said his driver. The guard will tell us in a minute. They waited and waited, but the guard didn't come. Peep, 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 peep. Where is the guard? Whistled Thomas. We've left him behind, sobbed Annie and Clarabel together. Everyone looked. And there was the guard running as fast as he could along the line, with his flags in one hand and his whistle in the other. He was very hot, so he had a drink, then told them all about it. I'm very sorry, Mr. Guard, said Thomas. It wasn't your fault, Thomas, he replied. Look, the signal is down. We can go. Let's make up for lost time. Annie and Clarabel were so pleased to have their guard again that they sang, as fast as you like, to Thomas all the way. They reached the end of the line quicker than ever before. It was a beautiful morning on the island of Sodor. Thomas the Tank Engine's blue paint sparkled in the sunshine as he puffed happily along his branch line with Annie and Clarabel. He was feeling very pleased with himself. Hello, Thomas, whistled Percy. You look splendid. Yes, indeed, boasted Thomas. Blue is the only proper colour for an engine. Oh, I don't know. I like my brown paint, said Toby. I've always been green. I wouldn't want to be any other colour either, added Percy. Well, anyway, huffed Thomas, blue is the only colour for a really useful engine. Everyone knows that. Percy said no more. He just grinned at Toby. Later, Thomas was resting when Percy arrived. A large hopper was loading his trucks full of coal. Thomas was still being cheeky. Careful, he warned. Watch out with those silly trucks. Go on, go on, go on, muttered the trucks. And by the way, went on Thomas, those buffers don't look very safe to me. The last load poured down. Help! I'm choking, cried Thomas. Get me out! Percy was worried, but he couldn't help laughing. Thomas's smart blue paint was covered in coal dust from smoke box to bunker. Ha ha, chuckled Percy. You don't look really useful now, Thomas. You look really disgraceful. I'm not disgraceful, choked Thomas. You did that on purpose. Get me out. It took so long to clean Thomas that he wasn't in time for his next train. Toby had to take Annie and Clarabel. Poor Thomas, whispered Annie to Clarabel. They were most upset. Thomas was grumpy in the shed that night. Toby thought it a great joke, but Percy was cross with Thomas for thinking he had made his paint dirty on purpose. Fancy, A really useful blue engine like Thomas becoming a disgrace to the Fat Controller's railway. Next day, Thomas was feeling more cheerful as he watched Percy bring his trucks from the junction. The trucks were heavy and Percy was tired. "Have a drink," said his driver, "then you'll feel better." The water column stood at the end of the siding with the unsafe buffers. Suddenly, Percy found that he couldn't stop. The buffers didn't stop him either. "Oh!" wailed Percy, "help!" The buffers were broken and Percy was wheel-deep in coal. It was time for Thomas to leave. He had seen everything. "Now Percy has learned his lesson too," he chuckled to himself. That night, the two engines made up their quarrel. "I didn't cause your accident on purpose, Thomas," whispered Percy. "You do know that, don't you?" "Of course," replied Thomas, "and I'm sorry I was cheeky. Your green paint looks splendid again, too. In future, we'll both be more careful of coal." One day, Edward was in the shed where he lived with the other engines. They were all bigger than Edward and boasted about it. "The driver won't choose you again," said Gordon. "He wants strong engines like us." But the driver and fireman felt sorry for Edward. "Would you like to come out today?" "Oh, yes, please," said Edward. So they lit his fire, made lots of steam, and Edward puffed away. The other engines were very cross at being left behind. Edward worked hard all day. The coaches thought he was very kind, and the driver was very pleased. "I'm going out again tomorrow," Edward told the other engines that night. "What do you think of that?" But he didn't hear what they thought, for he was so tired and happy that he fell asleep at once. Next morning, Edward woke up to find nothing had changed. Gordon was still boasting. "You watch me, little Edward, as I rush through with the express. That will be a splendid sight for you. Goodbye, little Edward. Look out for me this afternoon." Edward went off to do some shunting. Edward liked shunting. It was fun playing with trucks. He would come up quietly and give them a push. Then he would stop and the silly trucks would go bump into each other. "Oh!" they cried. "Whatever is happening?" Edward played till there were no more trucks. Then he stopped to rest. Presently he heard a whistle. Gordon was very cross. Instead of nice shining coaches, he was pulling a lot of very dirty trucks. "A goods train, a goods train, a goods train," he grumbled. "The shame of it, the shame of it, oh, the shame of it." Edward laughed and went to find some more trucks. Then there was trouble. "Gordon can't get up the hill," the porter called to Edward's driver. "Will you take Edward and push him, please?" They found Gordon halfway up and very cross. His driver and fireman were talking to him severely. "You're not trying." "I can't do it," said Gordon. "The noisy trucks hold an engine back so." Edward's driver came up. "We've come to push." "No use at all," said Gordon. "You wait and see," replied Edward's driver. They brought the train back to the bottom of the hill. I'm ready, said Edward. No good, grumbled Gordon. They pulled and pushed as hard as they could. I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it, puffed Gordon. I will do it, I will do it, I will do it, puffed Edward. Edward pushed and puffed and puffed and pushed as hard as ever he could. And almost before he realized it, Gordon found himself at the top of the hill. I've done it, I've done it, I've done it, he said proudly. He forgot all about Edward and didn't wait to say thank you. Edward was left out of breath and far behind. He ran on to the next station, and there he found that the driver and fireman were very pleased with him. The fireman gave him a nice long drink, and the driver said, I'll get out my paint tomorrow and give you a beautiful coat of blue with red stripes. Then you'll be the smartest engine in the shed. One day, James had to wait at the station till Edward and his train came in. This made him cross. Late again? Edward laughed, and James fumed away. After James had finished his work, he went back to the yard and puffed onto the turntable. He was still feeling very bad-tempered. Edward is impossible, he grumbled to the others. He clanks about like a lot of old iron, and he is so slow he makes us wait. Thomas and Percy were indignant. Old iron? Slow? Why, Edward could beat you in a race any day. Really, said James, I should like to see him do it. Next morning, James's driver was suddenly taken ill. He could hardly stand, so the fireman uncoupled James ready for shunting. James was impatient. Suddenly, the signalman shouted. There was James puffing away down the line. All traffic halted, he announced at last. Then he told the fireman what had happened. 2 boys were on James's footplate fiddling with the controls. Phew! They tumbled off and ran when James started. The signalman answered the telephone. Yes, he's here. Right. I'll tell him. The inspector's coming at once. He wants a shunter's pole and a coil of wire rope. What for? Wondered the fireman. Search me, but you'd better get them quickly. The fireman was ready when Edward arrived. The inspector saw the pole and the rope. Good man, jump in. We'll catch him, puffed Edward. James was laughing. What a lark, he chuckled to himself. Suddenly he was going faster and faster. He realized that he had no driver. What shall I do? I can't stop. Help! Help! We're coming, called Edward. Edward was panting up behind with every ounce of steam he had. At last he caught up with James. Steady, Edward, called his driver. The inspector stood on Edward's front, holding a noose of rope in the crook of the shunter's pole. He was trying to slip it over James's buffer. The engine swayed and lurched. At last! got him!" he shouted. He pulled the noose tight. Gently braking, Edward's driver checked the engine's speed, and James's fireman scrambled across and took control. "So the old iron caught you after all," chuckled Edward. "I am sorry," whispered James. "Thank you for saving me." "You were splendid, Edward." "That's all right," replied Edward. The engines arrived at the station side by side. The Fat Controller was waiting. "A fine piece of work," he said. "James, you can rest and then take your train. I'm proud of you, Edward. You shall go to the works and have your worn parts mended." "Oh, thank you, sir," said Edward. "It'll be lovely not to clank." James had not seen the Fat Controller for several days. He was left alone for being naughty, and was not even allowed out to push coaches and trucks in the yard. "Oh dear," he thought, "I shall have to stay in the shed for always, and no one will see my red coat again. All because I went so fast I made a hole in one of my coaches that had to be mended with, of all things, a passenger's bootlace." At last the Fat Controller arrived. "I see you are sorry, James," he said. "I hope now that you will be a better engine. You have given me a lot of trouble. People are laughing at my railway, and I don't like that at all." "I'm very sorry, sir," said James. "I will try hard to behave." "That's a good engine," said the Fat Controller. "I want you to pull some trucks for me." James was delighted and puffed away. "Here are your trucks, James," said Thomas. "Have you got some bootlaces ready?" And he ran off, laughing. Oh, said the trucks. "We want a proper engine, not a red monster." James took no notice and started as soon as the guard was ready. Come along," he puffed. We won't," screamed the trucks. But James didn't care, and he pulled the screeching trucks sternly out of the station. The trucks tried hard to make him give up, but he still kept on. Sometimes their brakes would slip on, and sometimes their axles would run hot, and each time the trouble had to be put right. And each time James would start again, determined not to let them beat him. Give up, you can't pull us, you can't, called the trucks. I can and I will, puffed James, and slowly but surely he pulled them along the line. At last they saw Gordon's Hill. Look out for trouble, James, warned his driver. We'll go fast and get them up before they know it. Don't let them stop you. So James went faster, and soon they were halfway up. I'm doing it, he panted. Will the top never come? Then, with a sudden jerk, it all came easier. I've done it, he puffed. Hooray! It's easy now. But his driver shut off steam. They've done it again. We've left our tail behind. Look. The last trucks were running backwards down the hill. The coupling had snapped. But the guard stopped the trucks and got out to warn approaching engines. That's why it was easy, said James, as he backed the other trucks carefully down. What silly things trucks are. There might have been an accident. Shall I help you, James? Called Edward. No, thank you, answered James. I'll pull them myself. Good. Don't let them beat you. You're doing well, whistled Edward, as James slowly struggled up the hill. I can do it, he puffed. He pulled and puffed as hard as he could. I've done it, he panted. They reached their station safely, and James was resting in the yard when Edward pulled up. Peep, peep, he whistled. Then James saw the Fat Controller. Oh dear, what will he say, he asked himself. But the Fat Controller was smiling. I was in Edward's train and I saw everything he said. You've made the most troublesome trucks on the line behave. After that, you deserve to keep your red coat.
The island of Sodor had many visitors, and the Fat Controller had scheduled more trains. Gordon, the big engine, had to work harder than ever before. "Come on," he called to the coaches. "Come on, come on, come on. The passengers rely on me to be on time." Whenever Gordon finished one journey, it was time for another to begin. "Never mind," he puffed. "I like a good long run to stretch my wheels." Even so, the Fat Controller decided that Gordon needed a rest. "James shall do your work." James was delighted. He liked to show off his smart red paint and was determined to be as fast as Gordon. "You know, little Toby," he boasted, "I'm an important engine. Everyone knows it. I'm as regular as clockwork, never late, always on time." "Says you," replied Toby. Just then the Fat Controller arrived. "Your parts are worn, Toby, so you must go to the works to be mended." "Can I take Henrietta, sir?" "No. What would the passengers do without her?" Toby saw Percy by the water tower. "Don't worry, Toby," said Percy. "I'll take care of Henrietta until you get back." Soon Toby was out on the main line. He clanked as he trundled along. He's a little engine with small wheels. His tanks don't hold much water. He had come a long way and began to feel thirsty. In the distance was a signal. "Good," he thought. "There's a station ahead. I can have a nice drink and a rest until James has passed." Toby's driver thought so too. Toby was enjoying his drink when the signalman came up. He had never seen Toby before. Toby's driver tried to explain, but the new signalman wouldn't listen. "We must clear the line for James with the express. You'll have to get more water at the next station." Toby clanked sadly away. Hurrying used a lot of water, and his tanks were soon empty. Poor Toby was out of steam and stranded on the main line. "We must warn James," said the fireman. Then he saw Percy and Henrietta. "Please, take me back to the station. It's an emergency." Henrietta hated leaving Toby. "Never mind," said Percy. "You're taking the fireman to warn James. That's a big help." Henrietta felt much better. James was fuming when he heard the news. "I'm going to be late." "My fault," said the signalman. "I didn't understand about Toby." "Now, James," said his driver, "you'll have to push Toby." "What, me? Me? Push Toby and pull my train too?" Grumbling dreadfully, James set off to find Toby. He came up behind Toby and gave him a bump. "Get on, you!" James had to work very hard. When he reached the workstation, he felt exhausted. Some children were on the platform. "Coo," said one, "the express is late and it's got 2 engines. I think James couldn't pull it on his own, so Toby had to help him." "Never mind, James," whispered Toby. "They're only joking." "Ha ha!" said James.
And every year on the date of the accident, it runs again as a warning to others, plunging into the gap, shrieking like a lost soul. Percy, what are you talking about? The ghost train. Driver saw it last night. Where? Asked Thomas and Toby. He didn't say. Oh, it makes my wheels wobble to think of it. Huh, said Thomas. You're just a silly little engine. I'm not scared. Thomas didn't believe in your ghost, said Percy next morning. His driver laughed. Neither do I. It was a pretend ghost on television. Percy was disappointed. That evening, he came back from the harbour. Percy knew where he was, even in the dark. Crow's Farm Crossing. We shan't be long now. He liked running at night. The rails hummed and the signal lights shone green. But a broken cartload of lime lay ahead. Sam the farmer had just gone for help. Percy broke the cart to smithereens. Lime flew everywhere. He puffed quickly to the nearest signal box. Percy's driver explained what had happened. I'll see to it, said the signalman, but you'd better clean Percy or people will think he's a ghost. Percy chuckled. Do let's pretend I'm a ghost and scare Thomas. That'll teach him to say I'm a silly little engine. Toby promised to help. Thomas was being oiled up for his evening train. Percy's had an accident, cried Toby. Poor engine, said Thomas. Botheration! That means I'll be late. They've cleared the line for you, but there's something worse. Out with it, Toby. I can't wait all evening. I've just seen something, said Toby. It looked like Percy's ghost. It said it was coming here to warn us. Huh! Who cares? Don't be frightened, Toby. I'll take care of you. Pee, pee, pip, 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 pee. Let me in! Let me in! Wailed Percy. No, no, not by the smoke of my chimney, chim. I'll chuff and I'll puff and I'll break your door in. Oh dear, exclaimed Thomas. It's getting late. Oh, I'd no idea. Oh, I must find Annie and Clarabel. It was morning when Thomas returned. Where have you been? Asked Toby. Ah, well, said Thomas. I knew you'd be sad about Percy, and I didn't like to intrude. I slept in the goods shed, and... Oh, sorry, can't stop. Got to see a coach about a train. Percy was none the worse for his adventure and was still enjoying himself enormously. He had heard everything. Well, well, well. What do you know about that? Anyone would think, chuckled Toby, that our Thomas had just seen a ghost.
In summer, the island of Sodor gleams in the sun and every station is filled with flowers. Percy had been working at the docks all day and was tired of the smell of fish. Phew. Come on, Percy, said his driver. Time to go home. Please, sir, can I have a wash down first? Sorry, Percy, there isn't time. The Fat Controller is waiting for us at the sheds. There is to be a festival of flowers, announced the Fat Controller. This sign saying Best Rest Station will be awarded to the winner. Please help with the arrangements. The engines were excited. My favourite station is Farquhar, said Thomas. Mine's Maithwaite, said Toby. Percy, what's yours? Percy was too tired to think properly. The docks, he murmured. Huh, sniffed Thomas. We can tell. Toby laughed. The docks are full of fish, not flowers. All right then, Alsdale End, said Percy. That's my home, replied Toby. That's why I like it, especially when you're there and not here saying I'm silly. Good night. Next morning, Percy was proud to be sparkling again. His train of trucks were being loaded with vegetables and flowers. These are for Maithwaite, said his driver. They'll display them on the platform. On the way, Percy saw Harold. Why is Harold buzzing about? He puffed. I haven't time for a race today. What's that? Said his driver. Why, bless me, it's a ram. Now we'll be late. I should have known that Harold was trying to tell us something. I've got just the ticket to get him off the track, cried the fireman. Food. He found some cabbage leaves. The ram chomped happily away. Please, can we go now? When Percy arrived at the station, his driver told the station master what had happened. I've heard about this ram. He's always hungry. A little while later, the station was decked with flowers. Maithwaite will definitely win first prize, decided Percy. He left his coaches and went to a siding where no one could see him. Time for a snooze, he thought. But it wasn't. We'd better see what all that noise is about, said his driver. Percy was shocked. Flowers, fruit and vegetables were scattered everywhere. It's that ram. He's made a meal of the station too. Then there was trouble. We can't get into the waiting room, the passengers cried. Why not? Asked the station master. The ram won't let us. Everyone looked at the ram, and the ram looked at them. He's not alone, exclaimed Percy's driver. Let us out, please, begged the boys. We're very sorry. Well, look at that, said the station master. The boys are our culprits, not the ram. He was just making sure they did no more damage. We thought it would be fun, but it wasn't. We'll help put everything back. A few days later, the Fat Controller invited some of the engines to Maithwaite, winner of the Best Dressed Station Award. I'm sorry, Toby, whispered Percy. You made the right choice. Then the Fat Controller made an announcement. There is one more prize for our good friend the ram. Here it is. I'll eat my hat if you don't like it. Then Harold landed. The wind from his blades blew the Fat Controller's hat off. Well, said the Fat Controller, seems I wouldn't be able to eat my hat even if I had to. Everyone laughed, and the only sound from the ram was a contented hiccup.